ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are discussing about Krishna being the source of both matter and spirit, which makes up this entire material world. In the 7th chapter, in the 6th verse, Krishna says, of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both its origin and dissolution. So Krishna is the source of both matter and spirit. There is a common misconception that there are many devatas who are considered as different gods by people. But actually the devatas are empowered administrators of this entire universe. They are all empowered by Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the master of all the devatas, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Krishna is the master of Brahma and Shiva. So that is going to be very clearly demonstrated in one particular Leela, where Krishna, there is a fight between Krishna and Banasura, one demon who was a great devotee of Shiva. So in this particular verse, Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita, he is the source of all the material and spiritual entities in this world. He is the source of all the devatas. All devatas derive power from Krishna. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. This material body that we have, each one of us, we have a material body, is developed because the spirit is present within matter. We all have experienced a child gradually grows to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy called spirit soul is present within the heart. Similarly, this entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because the super soul, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Spirit, has entered into this universe. So this we have to understand. Just like this body develops and grows and exhibits so many changes, only because of the presence of the spirit soul. We know what happens when the spirit soul leaves the body. Immediately the body becomes useless. Similarly, this whole universe, it is developing only because the Supreme Spirit Soul, Super Soul, Vishnu has entered into this universe. So Vishnu or Krishna has got names like Vishwatma, he is the soul of the universe. Therefore, spirit and matter which combine together to manifest this gigantic universal form are originally two energies of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Therefore, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the original cause of everything. This is very clearly to be understood. Now the pastime of the fight between Krishna and Banasura. Now who is this Banasura? Shukadeva Goswami explains in the 10th canto when he is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj while describing the wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Lord Krishna when he incarnated on this earth planet about 5,000 years ago. Shukadeva Goswami is describing that everyone would have heard the name of the great king Bali Maharaj. He was a great devotee and he gave away in charity all that he had. The whole world itself he gave dana to Lord Vamana. Vamana was an incarnation of Vishnu. He came as a dwarf Brahmana. Bali had actually 100 sons. Bali Maharaj had 100 sons. The eldest son of Bali Maharaj was Banasura. Bali had appeared in a Asura family. He was a devotee, but he had appeared in the Asura family. So the eldest son of Bali was Banasura. This great hero Banasura was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. As generally is the case, Asuras generally are devotees of some of the Devatas. Banasura was a devotee of Lord Shiva. He was always ready to render some service to Shiva. Banasura achieved a great position in society and he was honored in every respect because of his devotion to Lord Shiva. This Banasura was also very intelligent, he was liberal, and all his activities are actually praiseworthy because he never would deviate from his promise. He was very truthful and fixed in his vow. In those days, he was ruling over the city of Shonitapura, one of the provinces in the great Bharatvarsha. By the grace of Lord Shiva, Banasura had 1,000 arms and he became so powerful that even great demigods like Indra were serving him very obediently. Banasura had become so powerful. Once when Shiva was dancing in a celebrated fashion called Tandavan Nritya, for which Shiva has become famous as Nataraja, expert dancer, Banasura helped Lord Shiva in his dancing by rhythmically beating drums with his 1,000 hands. See, to beat a drum with 2 hands is one thing, but to beat a drum, beat many drums with 1,000 hands, and that too rhythmically. So Shiva was very, very pleased, and therefore he asked Banasura, whatever you desire, whatever benediction you want from me, you can have, because I am very pleased with you. So Banasura replied, my dear Lord, if you really are pleased with me, you can remain in my city just to protect me from the hands of my enemies. So Banasura had Lord Shiva personally protecting his kingdom. Once upon a time, Banasura came to offer his respects to Lord Shiva. He touched the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and while offering his respectful obeisances, he said to Shiva, my dear Lord, anyone who has not fulfilled his ambition will be able to do so simply by taking shelter of your lotus feet. Why? Because your lotus feet are like a desire tree from which one can take anything it desires. Of course, we should understand Shiva is able to bestow any kind of benediction which is material. He is a lord of material things. Shiva cannot give liberation. Shiva cannot give any spiritual benefit. That is not possible. None of the devatas, in fact, can give any spiritual benefit or spiritual liberation. That's not possible. That is only for the Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu. So this Banasura, he continued to pray to Lord Shiva that you have given me 1000 arms, 1000 hands. I do not know what to do with them. They're simply a burden. I cannot use them properly in fighting because I am not finding anybody competent to fight against me. So I sometimes become very, very, very frustrated. I have a great tendency to fight with my arms, and I go out to find a suitable warrior. But everyone's knowing my extraordinary power, they see me, they start running away. So I have not found any match. So to satisfy the itching of my hands, I beat them against mountains, and in this way I tear the mountains to great mountains to many, many pieces. So then Lord Shiva, after hearing this, he realized this benediction given to Banasura has actually become very troublesome. So Shiva replied to this Banasura, "You rascal, you are very eager to fight, but since you have no one to fight with, you are distressed. Although you think there is no one in this world who can oppose you except me, I say that eventually you will find such a competent person. And that time, when you find the competent person to fight against, your days will come to an end and your victory flag will not fly anymore. You will see your false prestige smashed to pieces." Shiva actually clearly indicated to Banasura, you become too proud, you become very puffed up. So Banasura, foolish fellow, after hearing this from Shiva, he thought, oh, I am very, very powerful. I have been certified as the most powerful person by Lord Shiva himself. So he became even more puffed up with his power, and he became very, very happy. Oh, I am going to meet someone whom I can smash to pieces. And with great pleasure he went home, and he was waiting, when will the day come when some suitable fighter will come to cut down his strength. So it is indicated in the Bhagavatam that this Banasura actually, because of getting this benediction of having 1000 arms, he became actually very, very foolish. Such foolish demoniac persons, unnecessarily, when they have got too much of opulence, they want to exhibit this opulence, and they get satisfaction only when their opulences are all exhausted. Till then they keep doing something or the other with these opulences, all misuse. So Srila Prabhupada explains, the demons do not know how to expend their energy or their wealth or their strength or their power for the right cause. Why? Because they are not aware of what is Krishna consciousness. So in this world, always there are two classes of men. One class of people are Krishna conscious, and the other class of people are non-Krishna conscious. The non-Krishna conscious people generally are devoted to devatas, whereas the Krishna conscious persons are devoted to Krishna. Krishna conscious persons utilize everything for the service of Lord Krishna, whereas the non-Krishna conscious persons, they try to use everything for their own sense gratification. Now Banasura is a perfect example of a non-Krishna conscious person who simply wanted to use his extraordinary power to fight simply for the sake of his own sense enjoyment. Not finding any combatant, suitable combatant, he was simply breaking mountains to pieces. Now in contrast to this, just see Arjuna. Arjuna actually had extraordinary power for fighting, but he utilized that only for Krishna. In fact, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was thinking, why should I kill my kinsman? Just for the sake of enjoying a kingdom? No, I don't want to fight. But when Krishna indicated to Arjuna that Krishna desires that fight, then Arjuna fought with all his best abilities and he was able to please Krishna in that way. So the conclusion is, Krishna conscious people always use their opulences, their possessions, their strength, their power simply for devotional service or simply for the purpose of Krishna. Whereas these non-devotees, they simply want to use everything for their sense enjoyment. So the description by Shukadeva Goswami about Banasura, he had a very beautiful daughter. That daughter's name was Usha. She had attained the age of marriage, and once when she was sleeping amongst her many girlfriends, she dreamt one night that Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna, was by her side and she was enjoying a conjugal relationship with him. Actually, this Usha, the Banasura's daughter, had never actually seen or heard about this Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna, before. So since she saw him in the dream, she got up from her sleep and she began to exclaim very loudly, "My dear beloved, where are you?" So being exposed to her friends in this way, she became a little ashamed. Now this Usha had a girlfriend by name Chitralekha. Who was Chitralekha? Chitralekha was the daughter of Banasura's prime minister. Usha was the daughter of Banasura, and Banasura's prime minister's daughter Chitralekha was her friend. So out of great curiosity, Chitralekha inquired, "My dear beautiful princess, as of yet you are not married to any young boy, nor have you seen any boys. So I am surprised that you are searching for somebody. Who is it that you are searching for?" Then Usha began to reply, "I saw some nice young man in my dream. His complexion is dark, but he was very, very beautiful. His eyes are just like lotus petals. He's dressed in yellow garments. His arms are very long. His bodily features are so pleasing. Any young girl would be attracted to him. I feel very much pride in saying this beautiful young man was kissing me in my dream. But now, when he has disappeared after I woke up, I have been thrown into a whirlpool of disappointment. Now I am very anxious to find where is this young man?" So after hearing Usha's words, Chitralekha immediately replied, "I can find you this boy if he is within these three worlds, upper, middle or lower planetary system. Just you have to identify who is this person from your dream, and I shall bring that person to you. So let me draw some pictures." So she began to draw pictures of different devatas, Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Pannagas, Daityas, Vidyadharas, Yakshas, and even human beings. So when she was drawing some pictures of members of the Vrishti dynasty, Balaram, Krishna, many others. So she was telling no, no, no. For any of these pictures, she was telling no, this is not the person I saw in the dream. When Chitralekha drew the picture of Pradyumna, Krishna's son, then Usha became a little bashful. But when she drew this picture of Pradyumna's son, Krishna's grandson, Krishna's son's son, Aniruddha, immediately she identified, yes, he is the actual boy I saw, young man I saw. So Chitralekha, she was a great mystic yogini. So when Usha identified the picture, Chitralekha could immediately understand. Chitralekha could understand that Usha had seen in the dream Aniruddha, who was one of Krishna's grandsons. So even though neither Usha nor Chitralekha had actually seen Aniruddha before, Chitralekha, by her mystic power, she first of all was able to identify this Aniruddha, and she, using her mystic power, she traveled in outer space that very night, and within a very short time she reached the city of Dwaraka. She entered the palace where Aniruddha was sleeping, and by her mystic power she carried Aniruddha in a sleeping condition to the city of Shonitapura and brought Aniruddha to the place where Usha was staying. As soon as Usha saw Aniruddha, she was extremely happy. And in that palace where Usha and Chitralekha lived together, it is impossible for any male to enter or even see inside. So Usha and Aniruddha lived in that palace without anybody knowing for quite some time. So Usha was pleasing Aniruddha with valuable garments, flowers, garlands, scents. By her excellent service, she made Aniruddha forget all about other things. So much so that Aniruddha practically forgot that he has been away from his real home for many days now. Now what happened? The housekeeper and the guards could guess that there is some male friend of this princess, Usha, within that guarded place. So without waiting for any further developments, they informed their master Banasura. Banasura came to check upon his daughter Usha, and he was shocked to find that she was living with another young man. Of course, together Usha and Aniruddha looked very beautiful. Banasura saw that his daughter and Aniruddha were a suitable match. Yet for the sake of family prestige, he did not like that this boy, who is this boy? I don't even know him. So Banasura, even though for a moment he thought this is the ideal match for my daughter, but next moment he was hiding his joy, and he pretended to be very angry. And what was very surprising to him, that even when he actually entered the room in which Aniruddha and Usha were seated together, he saw that this young man is totally undisturbed. He's peacefully sitting. Aniruddha could make out that his would-be father-in-law was not at all pleased, and he could understand that Banasura was trying to gather many soldiers in the palace to arrest him. So not finding any other weapon, Aniruddha took hold of a big iron rod, whatever he could get in his hand, and he stood up before Banasura and the soldiers. He took a firm posture, indicating that if anybody dares attack him, he is going to strike them with this iron rod. Now Banasura and his company of soldiers, they attempted to capture and arrest Aniruddha. But when they came before him, Aniruddha struck them with the rod. He was the grandson of Krishna. He was a very powerful fighter. So he broke their hands, legs, arms, thighs, one after another fell to the ground. So in this way, Aniruddha was able to escape from the palace. But Banasura, he knew by the grace of Lord Shiva how to arrest an enemy by using one Nagapasha, a snake noose. So using that, he actually seized Aniruddha as he was coming out of the palace and arrested him. When Usha received news that her father had arrested Aniruddha, she was very much overwhelmed with grief, and tears glided down from her eyes and she began to cry very loudly. So that's the situation in which actually Usha and Aniruddha, even though they were happily staying together, because Banasura discovered that somebody else without his permission has come to be with his daughter. So he was actually, Banasura was surprised because the place where his daughter was staying was well protected and there was no possibility that anybody could have entered. So he was just wondering how could this Aniruddha have entered even his daughter's place. Any case, what happened in Dwarka? When several months had passed and Aniruddha had not returned home, all the members of the Yadu dynasty became very much disturbed. Where is this boy? Where has he gone? How is he missing? So they didn't have any idea. One day the great sage Narada came to inform the family about Aniruddha's disappearance from the palace. So Narad Muni explained to the inhabitants of that palace in Dwarka that Aniruddha has disappeared from the palace, and he explained how actually Aniruddha was carried to the city of Shonitapura, the capital of Banasura's kingdom, and how Banasura had arrested with Nagapasha, even though Aniruddha had defeated all of Banasura's soldiers. So when the detailed news was disclosed by Narada, the members of the Yadu dynasty became very, very, very upset. So out of their affection for Lord Krishna, they prepared to attack the city of Shonitapura. Practically all the leaders of the family, Pradyumna, Satyaki, Gada, Samba, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra, everybody came together and they gathered 18 Akshohini military divisions to attack Banasura's kingdom. So they all went on horseback, on elephant back, on chariots, and even foot soldiers. And when Banasura heard the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty were attacking the whole city, tearing down the gates and the walls, he became very angry and he ordered his soldiers to go and face the Yadu army. So when Banasura's soldiers began to actually attack the Yadu army, Shiva, who was very kind to Banasura, he personally became the commander-in-chief of the military force and of Banasura, and Shiva was assisted by his two heroic sons, Kartikeya and Ganapati. So Shiva was seated on his favorite bull, Nandishvara, and he was leading this fight against Krishna and Balaram. From the Yadu side, Krishna and Balaram were in the forefront, and from Banasura's side, Shiva with Kartikeya and Ganesha were in the forefront. So we can imagine how fierce the fighting should have been. So it was so fierce that anybody who saw the battle, their hairs on their body would stand on end. Now Shiva was engaged directly in fighting with Krishna. Pradyumna was engaged in fighting with Kartikeya. Balaram was engaged in fighting with Banasura's commander-in-chief Kumbhanda. And Samba, the son of Krishna, fought against the son of Banasura. And Banasura himself, he was fighting against the commander-in-chief of the Yadu dynasty, Satyaki. In this way, it was a fierce fight. And news of this fighting spread all over the universe. So big demigods from the upper planets, Brahma and the Siddhas, Charanas, Gandharvas, they became very curious. What is this fight between Shiva and Krishna going on? And so many of their assistants are also engaged in this fight. So they all were coming in their airplanes and they were flying over this place, this Shonitapura, the capital city of Banasura's kingdom, and they were watching what's going on actually, what's happening. So Shiva, he is called Bhutanatha, because he is assisted by different types of powerful ghosts called bhutas, pretas, pramathas, guhyakas, dakinis, pishachas, kushmandas. There are so many varieties of these powerful ghosts. All of them are assistants of Lord Shiva. So Shiva was engaged in fighting against the Yadu army with all his ghostly companions. Krishna simply drove away these ghosts by using his bow, Sharanga Dhanu. Krishna has got very specific weapons. So his bow is called Sharanga Dhanu. So using that, he simply drove away all those ghosts. Then Shiva began to release his selected special weapons against Krishna. Krishna, without any difficulty, counteracted all those special weapons of Shiva. Shiva released one, Brahmastra, and Krishna counteracted with another Brahmastra. Shiva released a special air weapon, then Krishna counteracted with a mountain weapon. Shiva released a hurricane, a violent hurricane, another type of weapon on the battlefield. Krishna just opposed it with another hurricane. Similarly, when Shiva released his devastating fire, a weapon of devastating fire, then Krishna counteracted with torrents of rain, water weapon. This is a water weapon to counteract fire weapon. At last, Shiva released his most powerful personal weapon, Pashupata Astra. Krishna immediately counteracted with Narayana Astra. Like this, the fighting was going on and on and on and on and on. So, Shiva became very, very tired. And Krishna took this opportunity to release a yawning weapon. When Shiva was attacked by the yawning weapon, he became so very tired that he stopped fighting for the time being, and he was on the side. He decided that he is not going to fight anymore. Now Krishna turned his attention towards the other soldiers of Banasura. So Krishna was able to actually defeat all of Banasura's soldiers. When they saw, the Banasura soldiers saw that Shiva himself has retreated from the fight, and Banasura soldiers also saw their own party is actually retreating. Then they all started going away from the battlefield. So I'll take some questions now. We'll continue to hear this incident of fighting between Krishna and Banasura. We will continue to hear this in the next session. So I'll take some questions in the meantime. Here is a question. Srila Prabhupada mentions that one cannot go to moon by artificial means. However, the humanity has sent satellites and men to the surface and orbit of the moon. How can we understand this? Now, as far as the scriptures are concerned, it is very clearly stated in the scriptures that if a human being wants to go to the moon or any heavenly planet, moon belongs to the system of heavenly planets. We are on the earthly system of planets. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka. And above that is Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka. So there are different grades of planetary systems or planets. And to go to a higher planet, we have to qualify. Neither this body is suitable for the atmosphere on the higher planets. So our body is made for living on the earth planet. Everything is adjusted on the earth planet. exactly according to the conditions, climatic conditions, or the different requirements that one needs to fulfill for residing on the earth planet. We have got a suitable body. Our body works in a particular way fit for living on this earth planet. Now, if somebody attempts in this body to go to the upper planets, it will not be possible for them. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, even one big demon, Ravana, he also wanted to make a staircase to directly go to the heavenly planet. He wanted to transport people without them qualifying to go to heaven. He said, I can take anyone, I can send anyone to heaven without any qualification. So he attempted that, but it was a total failure. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada says at the present moment, people are trying to go to the moon planet directly, but actually it will not be possible. Why? Because to go to another planet, especially the higher planets, there is a process described in the Bhagavad Gita. Yanti deva vrata devan. Pitrun yanti pitravrataha. If you want to go to a higher planetary system, you have to worship the particular devata. If you want to go to Indraloka, you have to worship Indra. If you want to go to Chandraloka, you have to worship Chandra. If you want to go to Pitraloka, you have to worship the Pitru Devatas. Like that, there are definitely there is a system, and one can even prepare oneself to transfer to the upper planets after quitting this body by performing certain karma kanda activities, certain types of sacrifices or certain types of charity, yajna, dana, tapa, some penances. So it is not possible to go to the upper planets in this body. Neither one can go simply by making some mechanical arrangement. It is not possible. Now also it is explained that in the Brahma Samhita it is said, Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayorathapi manaso munipungavanam Sopyasti yat prapadasimna vichintya tattve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Even if somebody who is an expert yogi, he travels koti shata vatsara. Koti shata. Koti is crore. Koti shata is 100 crores. Vatsara is years. So even if they travel for 100 crores of years, still, and in what kind of aircraft? It is described vayorathapi manaso, either a aircraft which can go at the speed of the wind, or better still, an aircraft which runs at the speed of the mind, manasa. So these are all possible through yogic siddhis, through perfections of the mystic power of a person who has practiced Ashtanga Yoga. Even if they get such power, the yogis, even if they travel at the speed of mind, still for 100 crores of years after traveling beyond this earth planet, outside this atmosphere of the earth planet, at the speed of mind for 100 crores years, even they travel like that, they will not be able to reach even the limits of this universe. The universe is so huge, so huge. There are millions and billions of planets in this one universe, and each planet has millions and billions of living beings. So where is the possibility anybody can even reach the limit or the edge or the covering of the universe? And besides that, this universe has got 7 layers of different coverings. Each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous layer. The universe itself is 4 billion miles in diameter. That means the first covering the earthly covering of this universe is 40 billion miles thick. 40 billion miles. The next covering is 10 times this first covering. So the second covering will be 400 billion miles thick. The third covering will be 4,000 billion miles thick, or 4,000 billion is 4 trillion. So like that, who can even, they can't even reach the edge of the universe, what to speak of piercing the different 7 layers. So it's all simply a childish attempt by some people who are poorly informed about what is the reality, what is the truth. So one who actually is able to get the correct knowledge, proper understanding from the Vedic literature, they may attempt to transfer themselves to higher planets or even to the Supreme Lord's abode, Krishna Loka, by a proper method. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.